Robert Ferringo of DocSports here with another college football free play video. Be sure to check us out at DocSports.com and make sure to like and subscribe to DocSports YouTube channel. Be sure to check down in the description below. We have all kinds of free stuff that we're giving out. We have the free 60 link, which gets you $60, same as cash, to be used for any handicapper for any package in any sport that you want. And I also have two promo codes that we're offering over the next week. One is Ringo1, which will get you 10% off any of my packages across any sport. The other is 20 years. That's 20 and the word years. That will get you 20% off any football package from myself, Rafael Esparza, or Strike Point Sports. The three of us are celebrating our 20th football season here with Doc Sports, and we want to get you in on the action. So today's free play, we were talking SMU at Clemson. This game kicks off at 3:30 on Saturday, October 18th. SMU is currently a 9-point road underdog, and the total in this game is 55.5. Now, this game is a rematch of last year's ACC championship game. If you remember, it was pretty great game, actually. Clemson blew a 31-14 lead. Let SMU come all the way back in the fourth quarter. SMU actually tied the game up 31-31 with 16 seconds left, but kind of like Kansas City and Buffalo a few years ago in the playoffs, that wasn't enough time. SMU let Clemson get down the field, get in field goal range, and I believe it was a 56-yarder that the Clemson kicker made as time expired to win the game 34-31. So huge revenge motivation here for SMU going into Clemson. But again, that game was played on a neutral site. This one's being played on the road. Clemson has found themselves over these last few weeks. They've outscored North Carolina and Boston College 79-20, easily covering the spread in both of those games. Now, is that a function of Clemson shaking off their terrible start to the season, losing at home to LSU, getting upset and really embarrassed as a 22-point home favorite against Syracuse? I don't know. I'm a little wary to buy back into this Clemson team just because while everybody was buying stock in Clemson in the preseason and during the summer, I was selling it. I told anyone that would listen that this Clemson team was not a national title contender, that I've watched this team very closely during the Cade Klubnik era, and they're just shaky. They're not as good as people think they are, and they just don't really play good football. Now, they have over the last 2 weeks. They have that focus on winning the ACC championship, and kind of sneaking into the college football playoffs, kind of backdooring their way into the postseason, which was obviously their goal to start the year. SMU is another team that I'm not really buying into. They're 4-4 straight up, 1-7 against the spread in their last game. 8 games overall. They actually snapped a 7-game against the spread losing streak last week when they beat Stanford 34-10. Unfortunately, I had a free play and a rated play on Stanford in that game, so I took the L with that. However, that was one of those games where the final score really isn't indicative of how that game was played. That game was 24-10 SMU. With about 6 minutes left in the fourth quarter. Stanford is inside the SMU 10-yard line. They threw a 96-yard pick six to give us the final score there. If Stanford scores a touchdown at that point in the game, it becomes 24-17. It's a 7-point game. Stanford, 19-point road underdog. They're going to cover that game. And if they can manage a stop, who knows? Maybe they send it overtime. Maybe they score and go for 2 and try and pull an upset. So the bottom line is that game, even though it finished 34-10, it was actually a lot closer than that. And that was the first game that SMU has covered in 8 games. And they did it kind of barely, like just kind of bumbling through the front door. So I'm actually not going to make a free pick on the side in this game. I'm going to take the total. I'm going to take the under in this game. I think that Clemson's defense has really sparked this recent resurgence. I know they've averaged nearly 40 points in their last 2 games. I don't think they're going to do that against SMU. And SMU, even though they brought back a lot of skill position talent and their quarterback from last year, they're just not as explosive as they were last season. They're not doing as good a job of sustaining drives. I think they've been a little better than expected defensively. And even though last year we saw that shootout, 34-31, I think that people have that in their minds, and that's kind of helped juice up this total. I think this total is actually going to get higher as the week goes by, but I don't think that these two teams are as good as they were last year when they met in that ACC title game, and I don't think that they're in form, so to speak. So give me under 55.5 as my free play in SMU Clemson. That's it for today. Until next time, carpe diem and good luck.